Well, let's talk about the build for the main event here. Roddy Piper is going to announce that it's Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Of course, we know Shawn has won the Royal Rumble, so he's punched his ticket. He's going to have his shot to achieve his boyhood dream and get a world title shot at WrestleMania in the main event against Bret Hart. But Piper announces it's an Ironman match. But the concept being they're going to go 60 minutes, and the person who wins the most falls wins the WWF World title. I'm sure Pat Patterson is loving this. Do you remember whose idea originally it was to do an Ironman match?
Yeah, it's Pat Patterson's. Pat wasn't even working there at the time, but it was Pat Patterson's match. He had talked about it for a long time. We had this idea, of the finish. Knew that Bret and Shawn could pull it off. They did, but gosh, man, we had pitched this like maybe October, November. Then Pat was gone, but he did come back for that one match. He came back for that WrestleMania, to come to my wedding and also go to WrestleMania.
It's one of the more iconic WrestleMania main events, although not my favorite. I see people talk about it all the time on social media, and the buildup is something that Bret has always sort of taken issue with. He would contend that, the way this was built, he's the quote unquote old guy as he's running in Calgary in this sweatsuit and rolling around getting stretched by his dad, Stu Hart, in the dungeon. Meanwhile, the videos sort of show Shawn Michaels being young and athletic. I mean, I didn't see it that way. I could see how maybe he took it personally, or I could try to see that. But as a fan watching at the time, or certainly right after WrestleMania when I saw this, I felt like, this was a Rocky style montage for both guys. We would see Rocky Balboa training, and then we would see Ivan Drago training. I wouldn't say that one was better. They were just different. What say you?
Agree. It was different. It was as different as the talent were, their training techniques were very different. So you wanted to compare and contrast. Shawn, more fundamental, more traditional, going back to his roots, going back to his family, going back to Calgary in the way that he was brought up. Shawn, it was the same thing. We're shooting Shawn in a dingy warehouse where he learned to work. I didn't look at it as old guy versus new guy. They were practically same age, even though they're not. I think Bret's a few years older than Shawn is, but there was no old guy or young guy. I think they were viewed equals.
I mean, that's kind of the way I saw it. I didn't see it as one was superior to another. And I think Bret Hart's "You Start the Fire" music video in this era is one of the best that the company did. Who deserves credit for that?
Me,
Oh, really?
I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so you're just going to take it either way.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, no. When I say that, it was my idea to do the dueling videos and to do the training montages, and Vince and I went and did Sean's in San Antonio at one point while we were down there doing the gosh, we were doing a press conference of some kind in San Antonio, and we were down there. Then we had TV that week, so we stayed and we shot plenty of the vignette material for these. So I thought it was well thought out. To me, as thought out as Hogan Savage, just a little different.
It is different. Jose Lothario introduced as Shawn Michaels' manager. Why did you guys think that Shawn needed Jose, and did Shawn think he needed Jose?
Wanted Shawn to be real. Wanted Shawn to have the guy that brought him into this business be the one that is going to take him to the championship. Jose brought Shawn into the business. Shawn went out on his own, became very successful, but could never win the big one, could not get to the championship. And the feeling was bring Jose in is the one missing piece that Shawn needed to complete that circle and win the championship. Jose, did mean something. It was, still with our Hispanic audience in that demo, Jose would resonate. Jose would mean something. And it gave Sean a more human feel to him versus being the Heartbreak Kid. Now he's also a serious competitor.
We would see Mark Marrow and eventually Sable sign with the company. How do you remember those negotiations going down? Of course, you've seen a lot of your talent starting to move towards Atlanta, whether it's the Mean Genes or the Bobby Heenans, or certainly the Hulk Hogan's and Randy Savages, and most recently, Scott Hall's and Kevin Nash's. But now you've got the Johnny B. Bad character. Well, actually, it can't be that character, but the guy who portrayed the character, he's coming up. What do you remember about how all that went down?
I remember being a big fan of Johnny B. Bad and thinking, wow, this guy's got charisma out the ass. Just incredible. Wasn't the greatest worker. I didn't care about that. But Johnny B. Bad could come out, get the audience on their feet, get them involved in the match, and just you enjoyed watching him and looked like a star. I had met him at a NATPE convention, the National Association of Television Programmers. Not the biggest guy in the world, but man, he had just a presence. Yeah, that charisma, man. And bringing him up to meet with us, all of a sudden you talk to him, and it's wow. It's the guy who was in the junior high prom that's now trying to have a decent part in a Broadway show. And you start realizing, oh man, I think this was the gimmick that was so good. The gimmick made him, not vice versa. But we tried, very personable. God, Mark is so damn personable and just a genuinely
good dude too.
Yeah, he's a real good dude. I think he genuinely cares for people, and it's not phony. It's just he's just Mark. That just isn't always enough.
Hakushi is going to finish up around this time as well. He had an incredible look and some cool music and a couple of good matches, but it felt like he never really clicked in the company. What could we have changed about his presentation, do you think, that would have made a difference, or is it just timing or something else?
If he could speak to the audience and be able to communicate with them, I think that would have made a huge difference. But Hakushi did not really make an effort to learn how to speak English. And just coming out and doing that presentation is one thing. But it was hard to connect because no one knew what he was about, who he was, or why he was. And that's just communication, lack thereof.
I think Jinsei Shinzaki, the guy behind the character, enjoyed a lot of success over in Japan, and it was such a cool look. I can't help but wonder, in hindsight, do you think if we had a stronger mouthpiece for him that could have worked?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.